Hello, everybody. I'm going to be making a video today of showing how to use Stratagem. This might be a long video, so grab a soda, grab a coffee, grab a tea, whatever you drink, and enjoy. Hopefully this is informative. All right, first off, you have your projects page. The best way to explain this is that it's kind of like a forum itself. Okay, this is a bad representation because I don't have any forums. It's a dev board. But let's go to Dogwell. You guys have plenty of them. If I could find it, forums. There we go. All right, basically a project's just a forum. You don't create a forum every time you have a new topic or something. So, um, if there isn't one already here that's for you, like I think we have several over here available. Like I don't know what these two are. This is something for Esther and Brenda. Well, but then we have theme, general, and harmonization. So harmonization would be anything related to genetic testing and HSDD. General would be anything for the site, like when you want to add a new form, change permissions, something like that. Theme is, of course, the theme. If there's anything specific in the theme that you want to see changed, you'd let us know there. Um, then you guys have your own little things going on. Like I said, I don't know what these two are. Um, so basically, that's what a project is. And when you go into a project, you have your columns, and so you have your columns. Like I got this one set to full width, so it will take the entire width of the device you're on. So you have your columns. You have bugs. Well, there could be any number of columns. Like you can add columns anytime you want. It's not necessarily um, limited to these 5 here. So you can add more, but instead of adding columns, the columns are very specific. Like if it's a bug, put a bug there. If it's a suggestion, put it here. Now these columns are really meant for me. Um, so make them here. Don't move. Try not to move any over to here, because if you're moving them, then it's not me working on them. That's basically what in progress and ready for review is, and then it's a flow. So let's do a test. Like say you have a bug. All right, so you create your first card, and so what you type in when you create the card, technically, I guess you could say, is the title. And then if you open up the card, you have various options like the voting. You can follow the card. You can close out the card, close it, open it back up, complete it. Then you have your menu over here for the various things. Like you want to add more badges. Like say, um, this is high priority, so we add it in here. Or if I determine that it's it's Amy's Gremlins or Amy's Gremlins. You can change it, and this will give you some basic information like the title here. You can change. You can hold down and click on it, and you can change it. It tell you the who created the card and what column it is in. The badges are here, and then if you want to assign a user, basically what this does is who gets assigned the card. Like you can type in a name, or if it's you yourself, you can tell it to put yourself in there, and it will assign the card to me, so I'll get a notification that says, hey, you've been assigned a card, blah blah blah. This here is the description. Like you got to go into more detail, and this is more trying to explain this one. It's not really meant to be changed. The only reason you would change it is to give more detail or to clarify things. The rest, anything else, any other kinds of comments you need to make, you make a comment for it. But The description really is just for more detail to the title, if that makes any sense. Then you could do attachments, like you can attach any attachment type that you want here, zips, images, that sort of thing, and they show up. Well, let's attach stratagem. They show up down here. If it's an image, you'll show a thumbnail. If it's a file, it will show the file. You can delete them or you can download them. If I want to download them, it'll pop up saying, hey, you want to download? If I want to delete them, it'll pop up saying, are you sure you want to delete the attachment? All right, that's pretty much the attachments. They work just like, the only difference is they're located in a different area. Because I'm trying to conserve the space in the card itself, so that's why some of it's hidden behind drawers and whatnot. All right, the next thing is the list feature. Let's say you have several things you want to complete. So you got your list. Let's say you're like me, and sometimes you do things out of order. And okay, let's explain list. So you got your list here. You got your options over here. You can edit it, convert it to a card. So if it becomes something that needs its own card, it's just easier to convert the card. And it will basically kind of clone the card that's here and create its own card. Create a new card for it. Or you can delete the list item if you decided that you didn't need it after all, or you made a mistake, or something. Something along those lines. You can also rearrange them. So, like I said earlier, if you're like me, sometimes you'll do things and the priority or something's reversed or something, and you just need to move them. So you can rearrange them. Just grab a hold of them and rearrange them in that list. Now, the other thing is you can check them off. You can mark them as complete, and this will tell you. This is basically a percentage of how many list items there are and how many are done. So, we got one done out of 6, so that's 17%, 33%, so on. And if you mark all of these as complete, it will complete the card because it's considered complete. So, and if you unmark one as is incomplete, it will change the setting. Now, the other feature, you can hide the complete, so it only shows the ones that are currently open, or you can have it show all of them. Now on comments, I know this one has been some confusion. Now comments are basically, it's not a discussion; it's just comments. Like if I come here and somebody says, well, the widget's broken or something, and I got a question. I'm like, well, they didn't tell me what widget or where it was at. I'll be like, where was the widget? And it'll put it down here below. Now, whoever replies to it, it will post it above mine, basically. So they're the newest ones are at the top, the oldest ones at the bottom, and this is paginated, so it will create the pages when necessary. And the reason I did it this way is because the comments, like I said, are for not a discussion, but to get more relevant information. And most of the time, I'm going to be reading backwards anyway. So I'll need to know the latest information to see if a problem's been fixed or something, or the clarification was put in place. I won't need to know, so I don't have to search through the whole thing. But that's pretty much it on the cards interface. Well, I guess we can go over badge. We've gone over badges, copy link. Basically, what this is if I sent you that link, or you sent me that link, it will go to the page and open up the card automatically. So I'm not searching through a bunch of cards trying to figure out which one's which. The card history tells you pretty much everything that's been done on the card and by who. So, a scenario that's good for that. Let's say you attach, your super important document or something here, and it comes up missing. and we're trying to figure out what happened to it. We can just go to card history and go, oh, Michael deleted attachment stratagem tar on blah blah blah, and what day. It'll tell you the date, what was deleted, and by who. But it will also, yeah, fix that. Yeah, it'll tell you everything. It'll tell you when the card was created, when a list was created, when a list was moved, when it was completed, the whole nine. I mean, this is very expansive. And the reason it is because, in a development situation, you might need that sort of information, especially if you're working in larger groups. That's the whole point of the card history, which is probably irrelevant to you guys. So you can probably just ignore the card history from here on out. Track time, again, that's something we can put in there. Like, okay, it took me 6 hours to do this card. And we want to figure out, who took, how many hours. And it'll tell, Michael on this date logged or tracked 6 hours. And the card will get a 6 hour time. You guys' theme is like really screwed up. These colors are way off. And I don't think it's I don't think it's stratagem because that's supposed to be black and it's blue. Anyway, yeah, that's orange when it's supposed to be it's not supposed to change colors when you hover over it. Anyway, that's what track time is, and then you got your due date. Let's say you want to get this card done in by the end of October. And you could set a due date. And when it comes close to the time of the due date, you start getting notifications about, it's approaching. And if they're like 2 or 3 days out before due date, that card will actually start to flash. So, there's that. But that's pretty much it on the card interface, what you can do. There's a couple other things that aren't here because the repo is not set up, that kind of stuff. And then to move cards, you just grab a hold of them with your left mouse. You click on them, and then you can just drag them to wherever you want and drop them. Same with columns. Columns work the same way. You can drag them over. But just to let you know, there is a delay on when it registers. So if you just click on it, it opens up the card. But if you excuse me, if you grab too fast and you try to move it, it's not an instant thing, and that the reason that is because there's a delay, because it determines based on that delay if it's being clicked or being moved. So just to let you know. But on the card face itself, it'll give you like upvote, downvote, list completion. If you want to delete the card or not. A rundown of the badges, the title, the due date, how many comments, and who's it assigned to. So there's a lot of information on the front facing of the card for quick, easy looking. I'm trying to make this video short, so I might be forgetting some things. Columns, you can change their name, you can change their colors, that sort of thing. Like there's options here, like if you want to change the color, you can change the stupid IPS. Yeah, that's IPS's bug. Yeah, because we're not using auto color here for the column, so that's why they're all white. You can change the colors on them in theory. Like, right, you stupid thing. We're changing it to black. You can change them all. That sort of thing. So it's just an extra distinction, but it throws me off a little bit because of the cards themselves get colored. So it throws me off. That's why I leave them as white. I think it's a little bit too much. So, but the options there, like if we weren't using card colors, but we wanted the columns to be specifically colored, we can, or we can use them in conjecture if that's your thing. But pretty much, the automation thing is, who to assign it to when it gets, the card is get created. The badge, like if you want to assign a badge, the status, the due date, like how many days from now, like you want to set like 4-day minimum or max, starting off due date, just for all the badges. Restrictions, we're not going to go into that because we don't really use them here. But again, stratagems made for developers, so it's got stuff in there that only is related to developers, but you can use it for other things. There's no limitations on what you can and can't use it on. It just adds extra features if you don't use them. Like the automation columns, like you can add and remove badges automatically based on where you're putting them in, what column or whatnot. So I don't know why these should have been all assigned to me. I don't know why they got moved around. You see, like this one, we remove all the badges and change the state to complete when they get moved to the done column. The other feature I want to show you is the archive. And this is where all the okay, there is a difference between archiving a card and deleting a card. Deleting a card removes it completely. Vamoose is gone. It's adios, arrivederci, the whole nine. It is gone. It is unrecoverable. Moving a card into the archive, however, keeps it there, but it's not taking up space, in any of the columns. And basically, to move them to the archive, you just drag them up towards the trash can icon, and it'll open up the archive area and dump them in. And if you ever got to go into the archive, you can just scroll through it and find the one that you want and move it back. You can move them in and out of the archive. Or you can just open it and drag them into it anywhere you want. So if you want to keep the newly archived ones at the front, you can do that. But that's pretty much it on that. And then you can search them. We don't have anything in here. But, if you went to search. Oh, okay, my bad. It does work in the archive. It will give you the title of the card and what column they're in. And for, these two, they're in the archive. And if we clicked on them, it'll automatically open them up. The other features are like if I set a minimum hourly. Anytime it calculates time from now on for me, it will also give, like if we come up here and we go to track time. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, come on. My mouse is not cooperating today. Okay, we go to timesheets and it will show 6 hours. What did I put in? I thought I put 60. My calculation can't be that off. Okay, that's why, yeah. There's no reason to put 600. But it'll tell you on the card, if you go to timesheets, it will tell you that how many hours, the idea of the earnings, that kind of thing. That's what that does. My cards, it's just as it sounds. It cards you've created, cards that have been assigned to you, and cards you have track time on. And you can pull up only in a certain range of what cards have been, yours. Charts and stats, more or less the way it sounds. It shows you the hypothetical status of the project. This is very shot in the dark calculation. It Just gives you an idea, tells you how many columns it's based on several factors, like how many cards you have, how many cards are in the archive, how many are completed. For whatever reason, members still not showing up. I thought I fixed that. But anyway, it gives you an idea based on due dates, how many cards are completed versus how many cards are open, how many cards are in the archive, that sort of thing. It'll show you cards complete by date. You can change the date range, and it'll show you like how many cards are completed on what day, that sort of thing, in various charts. It'll give you a pie chart here on complete, incomplete. It'll give you cards by badge, like um, the car, how many cards are done by, by what badge, how many. I'm sorry, I can't talk. Roughly, how, the idea of how many cards are using which badges, basically. Cards that are completed by who. Again, like I said, this is a developer tool that can be used for various things. So if you had multiple developers, some of these columns make more sense than others. But for the most part, most of them are going to be completed by me anyway, because I'm the developer here. So, and like the cards created by, like you find out who's creating the most cards by who, that kind of thing. Like, it show you by name. They'll give you the name, the key over here, and the chart graph. That's pretty much. I mean, that's for people who want a little bit more micromanaging to their project than others, to give them a breakdown of how the project's doing and areas of improvement. Like if you come in here and you've got, say you got 200 cards and 150 of them are incomplete and only 20 of them are assigned, you got a kind of a problem. You got to do some work, whatnot. But again, like I said, these are features for other intended uses. So these are features you probably might never use. So I'm just going over them because they're there. The other one is generate timesheet, and what this does, we can set a date range. Let's set it from today till the end of the month. And we click on generate, and it will generate a timesheet for that time, and it will tell you. It will basically show you all the track time in the project. Who created it, what card it was. If you click on it, it'll open up the card. They'll show you the time and the estimated cost of it. It doesn't. You can't download it. It doesn't save to email or anything like that. It doesn't save. It's just a generated report basically, and you can look at the data from there. Project settings. I'll go over those real fast if anybody's interested. These are pretty self-explanatory. I try to put as much description as I could on their uses. Like the manager's the person who the project manager. That could be anybody. Basically, when you create a project, if you create a project, you become its manager. Of course, the name's inconsequential. You can name it whatever you want. Same with description. You can either have a description or not. Images. You can choose to give a project a specific image if you want. If not, it generates this little cube thing with a colored background. Max width. I'll demonstrate over here. Okay, this is minimum. This is the width of a default IPv board, which is like, I think 1300 pixels or something like that. Well, if you notice, with just these four basic columns, that fourth column kind of gets cut off, and I was to add another column, which we'll do. As you can see, now it's kind of a little bit more cut off. Well, there's a lot of white space in the IPS default width. So if you want to increase the width, you can tell it to max width, and what that will do, it'll allow more columns to be viewable. Now, if you were to create enough new columns, it would start pushing them over to the side again. But many more are now visible because the screen's wider. So, and it's based on the width of the viewport, which is the viewing area of the browser. So if you're on a phone, or a tablet or something, or a lower resolution monitor. This is a 2K monitor, so it's a little bit, it's got a little bit more width to it than a 1080p does. But if you were like on a phone, which about what that would be, as you can see, it only shows a column and a half, a column and a quarter, and you'd have to scroll over to see them. That's what max width basically does. Max users, this isn't really a controversial issue, but how many people you can assign to a card? Now, my personal belief, if there's like 1 or 2 people assigned to it, that's all right. You can assign up to 6 by default, but you can also tell it to assign a max up to 10. Right now, we keep it at 6 because I'm the only one really doing the cards for this project. Now, for your other projects that you guys are doing, because like I said, there was a couple in there that I recognize that weren't mine. You might have more people that you want to assign to a specific card, and you can, if you need more than 6, you have to come into project settings and increase that setting from 6 to 10. Private. Now, what a private project is now. Stratagem is open to everybody, basically. Guests can come in and read cards. They can't move the cards. They can't add new cards. They can't change titles, that kind of stuff. But they can read them. And the reason I did that was because it's based around the idea of open project management, which is a concept into development. And so instead of trying to give permissions and muddling up everything with permissions and everything, basically what private does, when you click on private, only the people who are part of the team or the manager can see the project. Like we come back over here, as you can see, there's this one's private, so I can see it, but it's but if I was to log out right now, all you would see is these, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. You wouldn't see expert panel. And there are other projects in here because I've seen when I went into the back end to clean up some of the, I guess you could say, duplicates or unneeded projects. There were several that I didn't even know existed because they don't show to me, because they've been marked as private, and that's what private does. It marks the project as private. You can set a due date for a project. Auto color, as I was explaining, this was auto color when you create a column, and it's based off the name. So if we would change it from new column to new column 2, it would have a different name, and new column 3 would have a different color than new column 2, and that's what auto color is for columns. Okay, archive. Now, you shouldn't set this unless the again, this is based around the idea of open development. And what archive does, it doesn't delete the project. You don't want to delete the project. You want to keep it around for posterity reasons, to go back, look at things you've done, that sort of thing. But you don't want people going in and posting new cards, moving things around, mucking things up. What you could do, you can come in here and change it to archive. And what that does, it locks it basically. Only the project manager will be allowed to do anything inside an archive project. So whoever is listed as manager, would have the ability to go in. Not even like even if you gave a team member like all the permissions, they wouldn't have the ability to go in, because this is specifically for a project manager only type thing. So keep that in mind. Don't set it just because you think you need it or something. Again, archive options. This is actually new. Some people want to keep the stats, like they want to include the cards in archive in their stats. So they do it. Now the automation, again, like the columns, like you can set the automation on the columns, like to complete, what badges, that kind of thing. This is a little bit more simplistic. You could just mark it as complete and remove all the badges so they don't show up in your stats. You might want to include them in your stat counts, but you don't want to include them in like the badges and that kind of thing. So you can remove them. Card options, disabled new toolbar. I'll show it over here. Basically, let's just turn them all off. All right, the toolbar is this right here. Now, by default, this doesn't show up because, you know, most people don't need it. But if you want it, it's there. And it's a very basic toolbar. It just gives you access to the bold, the italics, the underline, and the strikeout. That's pretty much what it does. The next one would be time tracking, like if you want to allow the cards to be time tracked, that sort of thing. Card colors. Basically, what card colors does, as you can see, I turned it off over here, and the card appears white. And if you just say, if you turn off card colors, they'll all be white. And if you have it enabled, but you want the cards themselves on the front end to be colorized, but you don't want the dialogue. Like if you say this card ended up being blue or something, and you click on it, this is the dialogue. So if you wanted this area to be white, well, white and black, no colorization, whatever to it, you would choose to disable dialogue color. Now, this one was actually a requested feature from one of the other clients that uses Stratagem. Let's say, because the colors are randomly generated. They're not based on anything. They're not based on title or anything like that when it comes to card colors. They're just completely randomized. The code goes in randomly chooses a number and bases off of that number a color off of it. And if you have in her case, her site was based around, as she said, pastel colors. So she wanted to give an option for cards to only be certain colors, if that makes any sense. So this what this does. You probably will never use it. If you want to, I'll explain it here. Like if you chose it, you can choose. You can add as many colors as you want. And you just select the colors. And basically what this does is if it's set, any card we create will only be those colors. And since we have a limited amount, the randomization isn't that high. As you can see, I got 3 of the magenta pink ones in a row. But they're all within that color scope that we chose earlier. So as you can see, there's a limited amount of colors, so the random seems less random, basically. Brenda's going to shoot me because she's probably getting notification. She's going to come here and be like, whoa, what's all this stuff? Well, that's basically what that does. As you can see, they all fit within that, those 4 colors we chose. Badges, like if you need to add more badges or you need to link them to another, let's say you created a whole bunch of badges and for say general has a bunch of badges that you want to use on another project, you can come in here and click on that and it will add. It won't add them here, but it will make them available on the card, and because these are the project's available badges. That's basically what that is. 2 card, just as it sounds. Let's say somebody writes something up in a topic and you want to promote that topic to a 2 card. Basically, you come over here to it. And you should see option convert to card. And what it will do is it will take the title and make it the card title, and take that first post and make it its description, and it should assign whoever wrote the post. It should, I think, becomes the card owner or the card creator. I don't remember. I think I might have done that, but something tells me that it will show up as whoever whoever clicked that button. So, but that's basically what that does. Now, a repository, we're not even going to go over that. That is irrelevant to like 99.9% of the stuff you guys are going to do. Like I said, this was written for developers, so or part of it was the idea behind it originally was for developers, but it can be used for other things. So that's why repositories exist here, because that's a development thing. All right, I think we've gone over everything. Teams. Let's go over teams. That's important. All right, basically what a team is somebody who has access. That's the permission group. The permissions for Stratagem are independent of IPS's permissions. So you have to come in here and give people permissions. You can do it by 3 ways. You can click on Add Team, and it will give you the option of doing a specific member, a group, or a product. And a product is from Nexus. Since you guys have Nexus installed, it will give you the option for it, but you don't sell anything. You use it for subscriptions. So that option is irrelevant to you guys. So you'll probably be using member and group. And what member does, you can come in here and you can type in a specific member, anybody from the website, and you can give them permissions. And basically, I'm not going to go over all the permissions, but they're pretty self-explanatory. They tell you what they do, how they do it, what permissions are you giving to the person. If you give them all permissions, I will say this: if you give that team member all permissions, they'll basically be a proto manager. They'll be able to. They have virtually identical powers to the manager. They can change project settings. They can delete columns. They can delete cards. They can do everything. But this is for all time. So let's say in the next version of Stratagem, I go and add 15 new permissions. Whoever has all permissions will inherently get all those permissions too. So just keep that in mind. So like I said, you can do by group or you can do by member, and they work identically. For group, you just come in here and you find the group, and you select their name, and then you come down here to that, and you hit save, and it adds them to the group. You can delete members, or you can edit their permissions. I probably should give. I'll just go ahead and do that right now. Give all permissions to the administrators, because that's what you guys, you're administrators. I don't know why there's individual people in here. I think it's because not all of these are administrators, are they? Yeah, Scott's not. Esther isn't. I think she's just a. Yeah, okay, she is an administrator. There was a reason why I put these people in here. Yeah, because I think originally I didn't have it, the administrator group, so we could probably remove them. But that's pretty much it. I mean, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. But it's pretty simple once you understand it. It's just think of it as a forum, but in a different way. Because basically, like I said, projects are forums. Columns are subtopics or subforums, and the cards are the topics themselves. So, pretty much, simplistic view of it, but that's how the cookie crumbles. So, like I said, if you have any questions or comments, let me know. I'll be more than happy to try to answer them if I can. All right, you guys have a good day now.